It's time for the Shop Live with your hosts, Glenn and Matt.
Got three on the front seat, it should be you and your chick. Instead there's some cat who claims he gets car sick. Keep both eyes open, one hand on the wheel. It may be hard to believe, but some folks like to steal. You got a woman looking good in a crowd. There's a love buzzard waiting to swoop down and take her out. Keep both eyes open, one hand on the wheel. It may be hard to believe, but some folks like to steal. She calls you up, puts off the date for the night. You go along with her, say, honey, that's all right. Drive past her house, you see his car outside. Your best friend done taught you, good woman, to lie. You keep both eyes open, one hand on the wheel. It may be hard to believe, but some folks like to steal. Steal away, Matt. Puts off the date for the night. Go along with her, say, honey, that's all right. You drive past her house, you see his car outside. Your best friend done taught you, good woman, to lie. You keep both eyes open, one hand on the wheel. It may be hard to believe, but some folks like to steal. Applause.
Hey, well, here we are.
Welcome to the Shop Live.
I can't even keep track. So this is
episode 7.
Episode 7 of season 3.
Yes.
3-7, yeah. I don't know why I try to do that. I don't know how you managed to do it.
I look at the last episode and count one more.
See, there it is. Magic, kids. We've just learned right there. Magic in our
counting.
Day. Welcome to the show. We got our special guest today, Mr. Neil Gunhold, which is a name that you might not recognize right away, but I guarantee by the end of it, you're going to learn some things. You're going to go, I got to go see this guy. And I got to download that single, William Fluffy Beauregard the 12th, because I can't believe that's an actual song. And you'll get it.
How can you not like that?
Fun stuff. But in the meantime, we're going to be doing some stuff here. In addition to talking to our friends and our sponsors that have helped us put on the show, like our friends like
The Firehouse Pub and Grill. We're at the remote stage today.
The remote stage today. And our friends, of course, down at Club Car Beverages, which is wonderful. Did you know, if you watched our episode a while back, I did a Christmas show at Red Crowns. They've brought in Club Car. So now if you're in the area, you can go down and try a Club Car. They've brought it in. Well, as soon as
we've hooked that up.
As soon as they talked about the donation part of the program and going back to the profits of music, it's a company that's near and dear to our friends at Red Crown's heart. So they were like right on board and sold out their first batches, and we're working on getting more in constantly. So
excellent.
And of course, our friends at Origin Tap Room out in Strathmore. You can go visit a
Some
beer
more
factory.
amazing beverages.
Yeah, absolutely. Beer right from the well.
There's a well.
Well, a beer vat, whatever.
Nice.
It's you open it up and it's like
Country Music Alberta. We're getting up into close to the awards end of March.
So if you can vote for us, I don't know if you can. Like, just vote for me for something.
Yeah.
Just put me, Matt as best banjo player. Go for that. Like, why not? I don't, I'm in. I'll learn to play banjo for the show. And of course, Zero Square Tiny Homes. I don't even know. You should probably describe one day what that company is doing, because every time I talk to you, there's a new product coming out, a new thing, and it sounds like the most interesting thing since the last most interesting thing you told me.
Yeah, well, there's lots going on there.
So can they find that on the website if they just go?
Zerosquared.ca.
So you can take a look at that, and they've got some not just big homes for you to live in somewhere, but they've got smaller units that you can put on your property if you just need your own personalized home away from your husband, and you can just go sit in there and read books and keep it quiet, whatever you want to do. Or I hate saying the word man cave, but you could build your own backyard man cave with that, heated and wonderful.
Yeah, like the shop.
Like the shop, yeah. And I'm trying
Aspen Crossing.
Oh, how could we miss them? I think we can play a song for them.
Our good friends from Aspen Crossing, and we're going to do a train song for them.
Trains. Oh yeah, 1973, little stomping Tom, flying CPR.
Flying.
Well, I've been from old Vancouver right down to Newfoundland. Traveled through old Canada, and I'll travel through again. My heart is like the three wise men once guided by a star. And I left my blues to wander on the flying CPR. And you hear that big eight-wheeler go clicking down the rail. On the flying CPR, man, she can well take me flying, whizzing on from on that traveling girl. And I know by way that whistle line's gonna span the world. Oh, go rumbling through the mountains, go flashing through the sea, flying through the countryside, keep the blues away from me. Now tell me, Mr. Porter, can I play my old guitar? I'll sing a song to the passengers about the flying CPR. Rocket train, the old-time cannonball, but it looked like they were going backward, man, when the flyer passed them all. The Canadian Pacific boys is hard to beat by far. It'll get your lifetime thrill, I know, on the flying CPR. All right, Glenn. My two-time girlie when I heard that whistle moan. Ain't your daddy's gonna scream and I'm leaving town alone. Well, I've got another little mama friend that'll mend my heart by gar. That I roll my blues away on the flying CPR. Gonna roll my blues away on the flying CPR.
Girlie and by gar.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll my blade, meet that girl, melt my heart by gar. I had to Google search what bagar meant, and it's an old-timey way of saying God. It actually featured in Shakespeare, too.
Well, there.
Stompin' Tom and
Now
Shakespeare
we're
in
all
the
learning
same
something
sentence.
today, too.
All right. Oh, and we're now at this really fun part where we got a road story for our friends at Zero Tiny Square Homes, where we get a musician friend of ours to tell us a clean road story. Our next clean road story, though, is coming from somebody who had, for some reason, it strikes me as he's got lots of clean road stories.
Mr. Larry Vanette.
That's right. All right, on the road again, this time with Larry Vanetta, coming up with a clean and suitable for prime time road story.
Well, man, there's a lot of them, but I remember one time we were playing out in, I can't even remember what it was a rodeo somewhere, but it was in a great big building and the birds were in there, and you could see there's a rafter up there, and I looked on the stage and you could see where the birds had a line. So I made sure I moved my microphone back, and Bob's sitting there and he's right in line with it, and I didn't tell him anything. I thought he's gonna get on it. And pretty soon, this bird, pigeon or whatever it was, splat, and it got down on Bob. And I said, Bob, you got it. When you're playing, you make sure you watch the line of bird crap on the floor, because that's where they're gonna be pooping.
Was it like during a solo or something?
I just remember that moment when we played and the pigeons finally flew back down to this end of the building and they got crapped on.
Wonderful. I did say clean. That one sounded a little shitty. Oh! Thanks, Larry.
You bet.
Back when everyone you knew was a vampire, you cut all of the collars off your shirts. You put blush in your throat each night and left your face china white and bit your wrists until it didn't hurt. Back when everyone you knew was a vampire, you bought black velvet curtains for the dawn. You wore pajamas of virgin white and checked your pulse with morning light and cried each time you felt it wasn't gone. Then one fateful Halloween, you saw your friends take out their teeth and share a drink of something clear and cold. It seems that everyone you knew was a liar, so you took classes to learn to lie as well. Thought you might do magic tricks, or maybe try politics, or write a book for talk show hosts to sell. But 10 years later I heard you bought a castle with a 5-car garage and a tennis court out back. You pay surgeons to keep your looks and alchemists to cook your books until they come out every shade of black. But every night dark shapes descend, blood red Beaujolais in hand, buzzing at your gate to let them in. 'Cause now everyone you know is a lawyer, or a banker, or an agent, or an actor, or a pampered wife. I saw your house in a magazine, mark your drive with limousines, and network in the place of living life. But as you raise your crystal glass, the truth sneaks up on you at last. Everything has finally come around. You know all the vampires in this town. All the vampires in this town. All the vampires in this town. So tell me how your wrists are feeling now.
Nice, guys.
Oh my goodness. All right, so, our special guest today, Neil Gunhold. So we're going to try to do this from an introductory capacity because there's a, you're going to be very new for a lot of people, even though you've been around for a long time. But I've heard you in bands for so long, in larger groups, and it seems like this song here specifically is kind of the direction that you're going now. Are you kind of morphing into a singer-songwriter now?
I am. I started as singer-songwriter very, very early on. I have a weird, don't look at me kind of issue. I decided to give myself a band name when I was 18 instead of releasing my first solo album under my own name, and I didn't even have the guts to release a solo album under my own name till I was 32. So it's always seemed like I was in a band, even when I wasn't actually technically in a band. Again, just out of a camera shy thing, I guess. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
I was definitely intrigued, kind of watching what I've seen from the recorded output. You're, generally speaking, always the primary songwriter in any of these. And here's, I go back to remembering one of my favorite band names of all time still is Pop Debris. I remember hearing that, and I'm just loving the name perfectly. Is that where the idea of naming it as a band as opposed to just your vehicle started? Or
No. So I did a solo album as St. Christopher House by myself. That no longer exists. It was only ever on cassette tape, and I also don't hang on to copies of anything I've done. I've actually had to crowdsource old material from fans that I've had to hunt down on the internet of things that I, printed and sold, and I'd recorded. I did the whole, output and everything, and then would have to 5 or 6 years later be like, hey, anybody on the internet remember this? That was me, and if you could possibly provide me with a copy of that, that would be great. Unfortunately, I lost the DAT of that very first record, so there's just absolutely no chance that it's going to show up, although people do still keep contacting me looking for copies. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't have a cassette player, and if I did, I don't have the cassette either.
There's probably some weird obsessive collector of all things obscure in some foreign country with a box of them.
I have, and in fact, been contacted by random people in weird countries who have things, and I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but it did. No, Pop Debris. So I was also in a band at that time called Nystagmus. We were doing progressive punk rock because, of course, we were.
Progressive punk rock. How can punk rock be progressive if you're just throwing it all the rules out the window?
It's loud, it's noisy, it's power chords, it's in 17/8. Wow. That's what it is. It's
now, going kind of into the roots to describe, where are you from originally?
I am born and raised in Calgary, way back, multiple generations back. My mother was born on Stampede Parade morning. That's my great-grandfather hand-built a house in Ogden before it was in Calgary. But so yeah, no, I'm way Calgary.
So going into the
1800s.
Back into the house.
Yeah.
You're always kind of looking through the old things, going, geez, there's got to be a deed to the Calgary Tower. Yes, here it is.
No, probably not. But that would be nice. I would like that.
Now, so just kind of going for the history. So there was, Pop Debris was back there, and I kind of remember from the time that you guys had been approached really early on in the process about getting some record label support. And this is in the early 2000s when record labels still helped.
It was EMI. So I I busked a lot. I made a remarkable amount of money busking. Probably a terrible, terrible life decision. My mother insisted that I have a summer job, and I was like, "Hey, I'm making $25 an hour doing this, while minimum wage is $4.25. Screw any other job. This is what I'm going to do." And I developed, I would say my songwriting on the street because I refused to do covers, and so I had to figure out how to write a song that people would want to pay you for when they don't even want you there. So that really helps your songwriting a lot. Like, you know, don't play for your mom, play for people who hate you, and see if you can make them like you. But right after we had finished Food of the Gods, which was the second Pop Debris record, I was out busking on Prince's Island, and I got approached by a guy from EMI. And we ended up having like 3 months of kind of interchangey chats and stuff. But unfortunately, what wound up happening was it ended up scaring both our drummer and our bass player out of the band. And then at that point, the conversation was like, well, you guys can't even hold a band together, so what are you going to do? And I was like, but we only lost these guys because they got scared of like going out and touring on a big label band. So that was that first brush. And that's sometimes all it takes to kill that momentum. So.
That's interesting. And then, moving forward, obviously there was, trying to keep up, because you would release something kind of by yourself and then you would jump somewhere else. And a lot of people would probably be just as familiar with later on when you got involved in the Kirby Sewell band.
The Kirby Sewell band would certainly be the one that most people would connect me with if they bothered to read the credits, which many people did not. So that's totally fine. There were people that I would meet sometimes who are like huge fans of the band. They're like, I love that band, man, Kirby writes great lyrics. I'd be like, I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but
well, that's got to be interesting for somebody who's got that idea of just kind of wanted to stay back a little bit. You've got somebody that can take all that credit, and you can just, it's okay, just give me my money here once in a while, I could be fine.
In the very weirdest thing, like, I play gazillions of instruments. I do production work, as you know, because I've produced pretty much all of the albums that I've released, including all the Kirby Sewell Band records with my own production and done mostly in my own home. And I can play bass and program drums reasonably well, and I'm a pretty good keyboardist, and I'm a good singer, and all those sorts of things. If I could just pick what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I want to be a guitar teacher, and I want to play rhythm guitar in a funk band. That's all I really wanted to do. So,
well, that's definitely not where you're at now.
No.
We'll kind of come back into that and stuff. And you've got a couple things on the way. You've just released a new EP. There's it's 4 songs that were kind of just done. You said on the spur of the moment. But the best part about it is we're gonna hit this 4-song EP, but you're playing all new songs that you've got that you're basically. What would it be, wood shopping now? You're getting all together, or have you already started the recording process on what the next project is?
Because I have a studio in my basement, I am always started on whatever the next studio project is. The first solo album was recorded in between all of the other albums that I did. So when I told people that it took 5 years to make, it took like 6 months to make, but it just happened to be spread over 5 years because I had so many other projects to be doing. With this one, with the EP, it was a challenge to do it in a month, and I decided not to use any already written material. So I was like, no, I'm going to write every single song that is going to be on this EP from scratch. Which,
nice work.
Sometimes you're like, yeah, that's a great idea, and other times you're like, whoa, man, that was a choice. That was a choice. All right. I'm proud of it, primarily because it was entirely unreleased material. But what I'm playing right now is all the stuff that I had been planning on putting onto an album at some point. Quite a bit of it was, in fact, originally written for Kirby's band. And one of the issues that we started to discover later on was that you might have noticed from the first song, I have a real thing for lyrical density. Like, I didn't bother writing a chorus because I'm like, well, I still have more things to say, so I'm not going to repeat the same words. I only got so much time to say stuff. And Kirby, great performer, great front man, like big energy. He had troubles remembering the lyrics to The Thrill Is Gone. So trying to get him to remember some of the things where I was starting to compose these big songs, and I would send them out to the band, and everybody in the band was really excited, and then we'd get together to rehearse. And Kirby would show up with lyric sheets and also not be able to remember the melodies because he was just so overwhelmed by the amount of words. That was a failing on my part as a music director, where I was getting a little bit too carried away with what I could do. So a lot of this is material where I go, well, did I technically write it for somebody else? Yes, but not really. I didn't do a very good job of considering. Like early in the Kirby Soul Band stuff, I was very careful about writing for what Kirby did. And then I started being like, well, no, I want to push things a little bit further, and that maybe wasn't always the best choice. So I have a bunch of songs that I wrote for that band that never made it.
Well, now the challenge is out. Whatever this next song is going to be something that's both lyrically complex and full of chords and melodies. So
It is.
So which song is this one here?
This song is called Belfouche, South Dakota. And in case you're curious, that is the geographic center of North America.
Oh.
And I figured if the devil was going to be anywhere, that's where he'd be. Last night I went for dinner with the devil. I lose Italian diner on the corner of Hell and Gone. He had oysters, I had veal. His eyes spit fire like a Catherine wheel. And the jukebox only played our favorite songs. When the coffee came, he stirred it with a finger. His eyes welled up as he reached inside his coat. He lit a cigarette with a single tear. The waitress said, "You can't smoke in here," so we paid the bill and said, "It's time we go." The rain burst into steam across his shoulders, molten lava running down his face. He said, "In 50,000 years, very few have seen my tears, and it's worth a soul to keep my secrets safe." We walked that way till we came to Angel's pawn shop. He took out his wallet and he told me to wait outside. He came back out like a broken man, tucked something warm into my hand, smiled and disappeared into the night. I got a card from Belfouche, South Dakota. Said, "Greetings from the middle, feeling fine." But I could see the edge was burned. The return address was no return. The lighting on the rack was red as wine. It said, "Thanks for dinner and a truly lovely evening. I'll be back in town in April. Hope to see you when I pass through. Wish you and your loved ones well. I'd call you, no, but work's been hell. I guess we do what we were born to do."
Oh. I'm going to launch into kind of the songwriting part of it then.
That's fair.
When you are getting down and writing the songs, how are you doing that? It does not strike me as you play a chord and then, a melody pops out and you're going, party, party, party.
I would love to tell you how I do that. The number one thing, I guess, is I search for something that catches my attention and that confuses the living hell out of me. And then I have to hunt down an answer as to what that could mean. So like on that one, I had that last night. I went for the dinner with the devil, and there was a rhythm scheme that I needed, and I ended up having to search for, I don't know, probably a month before I actually found Belfouche, South Dakota, and I was like, that actually, and then I found out where that was, and I was like, well, that's beautiful fork, okay, well, then I can make that route to hell. Anyways, that one was, sometimes I just got to keep throwing stuff at the wall until eventually it sticks. The first one, the Vampires tune, I had the line, back when everyone you knew was a vampire, and I had that line for a year. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out what that meant. And I realized I'm going to be possibly, not burning bridges, but elbowing a couple of... I went to the YYC Music Awards, and what I wound up seeing was all of the people that I used to busk with 20 years ago, all wearing tuxedos and beautiful gowns and drinking champagne and schmoozing. And please understand, I know that schmoozing is the most important part of this job. It's the reason why I'm not nearly that successful, is because I'm really bad at it and it makes my teeth itch. And it was fascinating to me. I was like, these are all of my busking buddies. These are like the people that I hung out with on the street 20 years ago, and they're all just dressed to the nines, being very classy and fancy. And I'm like, nothing against the idea. We do need to celebrate local music and all that, but I just got such a weird gut reaction, and that was when I went home and wrote All the Vampires in Town.
So kind of putting all that down, so for the most part, it's the lyrical hunt is what's important. You said you'd gotten kind of into the Kirby project primarily as the lyricist mostly. So poetry, at that point, are you writing other things outside of song lyrics? Do you have books of poetry?
I don't. I'm very much, I need music to do it. I need to be playing music to write words. I need, and again, when people ask, I do write the lyrics and the melodies simultaneously. So I feel that anyone who feels that you should do one or the other, I think that they need to be able to push each other around. There will come a point where you have a lyrical line that is just way too good and way too important to try to smash into whatever melody you thought you had. And at that point, your melody is going to have to, flex. And even to like extremes, I had a song on my first solo album called Truck Stop Behind Valhalla, where the lyrics ultimately ended up demanding that the song be in 5/4. Not because I wanted to write a song in 5, but because I wrote, it's 5/8, I guess. I wrote the song in 6/8, and I kept landing the important words of the lyrics and then having another beat to go, and I'm like, well, that's not hitting. What am I gonna, and it was that level of change to be able to go, well, the lyrics, unfortunately, are telling me that if I keep playing this song in a normal time signature, then the lyrics aren't going to work very well, so I'm going to have to change the time signature on the song.
So the lyrics are informing kind of your musical choice, but then sometimes the musical choice.
Music has to inform the lyrics as
now,
well. Exactly.
On the new EP, you've got a song, the title of the new EP that you've released is William Fluffy Beauregard the 12th.
Yes.
So how does any of that come up? Like, do you walk around going, I feel like just naming an elephant, and,
no.
And then a song comes out of that?
No, I had the first 2 verses on that song. Okay, so one of the possible reasons why I'm not quite as currently dug into the Calgary scene, I moved with my wife to Yorkton, Saskatchewan for 2 years. But I was still doing a lot of session work in Calgary with Steve Durkin's studio, and like Kent McRae and Chris Byrne, and Steve was kind enough to sort of wait and collect the work so it would only show up every 2 months or so. So I would drive the 10-hour drive from Calgary to Yorkton, stay at my dad's house, do 4 or 5 days of studio work, and then drive back to Yorkton. And on those drives, very often I would just sing to myself, because you'd get real bored and you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And all I had on William Fluffy, I only had that very, very first verse was something that I was singing to myself while I would drive back and forth. And what I remembered was one day I recorded it on my phone and then just completely forgot about it. And then when I agreed to do the EP in a month, I started looking back through my phone for anything that I could hunt down. And I was like, oh, here's a first verse. So I rapidly sat down and wrote the rest of the song from that one first verse that I had. And when I came around the end, I came up with the line, I think I'd like to buy an elephant. And I just said I'd name him William Fluffy Beauregard. I think I named him William Fluffy Beauregard the 8th. And then the lyric, I was going to ride him into hell. I was like, oh, I'm going to go back and change that to 12th so I can rhyme it with hell. Again, as well.
There's a lot of hell in your lyrics.
There is.
Fires in hell.
Lyrical trick number one, and I still feel like this is an important one, which is if you have a really, really good line, put it second. Don't try to find a rhyme for it. Or if you're struggling to find a rhyme and you know you're just going to come up with a weak rhyme, put the weak rhyme first and put the really, really great line second, because then everybody's going to be like, wow, not only did he come up with something great, but it rhymed. You're like, yeah, actually, I already came up with something great. I reverse engineered that impact there.
I don't think, generally speaking, anybody who watches our show who doesn't write songs doesn't also get the importance of, sometimes in a number, you could have, it could be something that's 2 or 3 or 4, but it might not work, even if it, so you're trying to always juggle, should it be this 3rd? Should it be this 5th? How do and you got to play around until it kind of feels comfortable.
Exactly. You keep bashing things around and you change. And again, in the same way, it's really great to be able to change the melody or the chords or like how many bars things are going to be or whatever, when you're just sitting there going, well, I have to say something. I need to change something in order to be able to do it. So I think that's the benefit of writing both the music and the lyrics at the same time and allowing it to be kind of a give and take.
And I actually also like that it's a song technically that has no real chorus. I guess it would be verse, bridge, and then the title of the song comes buried in the last verse. Yeah. But it's such a oddly, and I put it on our Instagram post as well, just because it's eye-catching. So when I saw William Fluffy, I'm like, I want to hear whatever this is going to be, because it was just curious, yeah. So
and then you hear an opening accordion part. Why? Because
just for my own personal, what is that? Does that become like a Hungarian?
Bavarian oompa.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not kidding. This is the ultimate benefit, I believe, of the internet, is that you can just simply hunt down genres of music, and then you can find lessons and teach yourself how to deal with them. So, I had all of the accordion sample stuff that I could work with, but if you don't play it like an accordion, it doesn't sound like an accordion. Mm-hmm. But there is an accordion lesson channel on YouTube. So I just took 5 hours and I sat down and I learned how do accordion players actually use left hand when they're playing oompa, because that was the other thing. Like, there's a totally different stylistic approach to what you do with those left hand buttons. Ooh. So I actually had to hunt down what does the accordion player do with their left hand when they're playing an oompa, and then apply it to the chord progression that I had already written. So,
well, it's only 5 hours of your day. It's much easier than hanging around with an accordion.
An accordion player, I know, and I know a few of them. But
I'm just going to transition that to a keytar now.
Yeah,
keytar accordion. Yeah. Oof. Well, let's grab another song. Again, this is not off the EP. We're getting all new stuff, but we'll talk about where you can go catch that EP out and listen to what we were talking about there. And what do we got next?
Oh, can I prelude this with the story behind it? I don't do political stuff, but I had this moment. I woke up and I was like, Donald Trump, when he dies, he would never want poor people at his funeral. He would only want rich people. And all the rich people hate him. And in all likelihood, he would find a way to charge for tickets to his funeral even after he died. And I was like, what the hell would that funeral look like? So here's the song. Lined up around the boulevard in tuxes, tails, and furs, all to pay our last respects, and most to pay our first. We stood in awe
as they lit the fuse. And they shot his ashes into outer space in a mason jar his mother bought in 1968. And we raised our glasses to the better days ahead. His wife dressed like a movie star, his son dressed like a king. A pop band played the eulogy with dancers in the wings. A fountain flowed with cheap champagne, and they shot his ashes into outer space as a third-rate high school marching band destroyed Amazing Grace. And the lawyers checked off all the boxes they had left. And then we all went out for cocktails and smoked our free cigars and ducked for cover every time we saw a falling star. Then I went home and slept all day until I saw the replay on the evening news, the place the lesser angels of my nature get their views. And I watched them struggle with the awful truth they faced. You know, they shot his ashes into outer space, and the only tears we shed were for the monumental waste. No one's anyone you can't replace these days. No, no. I saw you on the marching band.
Yeah, I know.
It's one of my favorite lines I've ever written.
I try so hard not to be staring or reacting. I think both of us, you know, you're hyper aware as musicians in a room when somebody's playing that you don't want to kind of be taking anything from that. But yeah, I know I giggled. High school marching band destroyed. I could hear it in there, and it made me laugh. There's so much in it. You know, you talked about it earlier, lyrical density. There's so many little things I'd want to almost go back in with a lyric sheet, just go, okay, this and this. So it's interestingly provocative. The only thing that I would disagree with in that whole song is I can't imagine that his ashes are going anywhere, that they're going to be, it's an embalming thing, and they're going to find some way to fix up the flaws so he'll be embalmed perfectly.
I don't know. I feel like he would much rather have like I'm a rocket ship. I am a spaceman.
I think that's more like President, what was his name? President Nitro?
Yeah.
From Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Did you
But
ever
I
see
mean, it's,
that?
yeah.
Oh my.
We've had a couple of these references here in our talk before the show too. So there's a lot of commonality with obviously our ages and growing up here in Canada.
Yeah.
So people are going to be able to find some stuff. And now you did mention you're scattered a little bit and trying to find everything. It does look to me though you're trying to get all of the old material and you're recopywriting or reputting and putting it out there now. So there's a current.
That was literally my wife just sitting down with me and just being like, you need to be on the internet. And I was like, well, I don't know, man. I feel like I haven't put out, she's like, you've put out like 15 albums. Why aren't you on the internet? I was like, I don't know. Maybe what if the internet's like a passing fad, man? Because
So they're there. I found a copy real quick, just popping onto just Apple. But is there a place where people can go and actually buy things so that you can actually be given money in an appropriate way to help fund a career?
Realistically, at this point, it will just be Bandcamp. But more than anything else, I am just starting to get back into going out and playing live, which has been a battle. Basically, Kirby's band, we finally called it quits. And then I had the year out in Yorkton, and I was happy to sort of take that as a writing year. And then we got back to Calgary November of 2019 with absolute determination that I was about to, like, I was calling up, all of my old buddies that, I would want to play with and be like, okay, guys, let's start some projects, let's do some stuff. And they were all like, yeah, well, as soon as all my New Year's gigs are done, let's get together and do some work. So that was just about March of 2020. So that again, taking 2 years away from a town is risky when you've gained a little bit of a, and I mean, again, I gained a reputation amongst musicians mostly because I was always doing things under other people's names. But even that reputation only lasts so long when you leave town. But we were like 2 years, that's reasonable. I can make it back. But by the time, of course, you get back and then everything's gone. Now it's been 4 years and you're like, oh no, nobody remembers who I am or what I'm doing. So I've just had to start trying to push out to the people that I did know before and see what I can do. So
John, if you get a new band going, I'm sure Jim Johnston needs another gig.
Of course he does.
You do have a show coming up, and you're doing it in this format, guitar and you singing.
Yeah, it's just me doing this. I also am. I am horribly spoiled. I had a band called Shadow Government. I don't know if you saw that. Neil Gunhold, Shadow Government.
We need another episode to talk about Shadow Government.
We probably do. And I love working in the band, but our drummer, Rylan, who is now in Vancouver, spoiled the living hell out of me. Like, I was ruined for playing with drummers ever again. Because Rylan, and he would never mind me saying this, I'm not saying anything he himself has not said about himself. He's not the most gifted technical player, but he does more homework than any human being I have ever met in my entire life. So the reason that I ended up hiring him, because he showed up to sub in for a Kirby Soul show. And when we showed up for the rehearsal and I started listening to him playing drums, I was like, that's the record. That's not just the record, that's every fill from the record, note for note, being played exactly the same way that it was played on the record. Hey, that was a mistake that I left on purpose in the record to just kind of like loosen things up. And he's doing it. Like, he's doing every single thing that was on the recording. So he was a programmable drummer. And you just knew that when you showed up, no matter what else was going to happen, the song was going to be played exactly the way that it was originally on the recording. And for me, trying to be both a rhythm and a lead guitar player and sing, it gets very nerve-wracking. I'm sure you understand this. It gets very nerve-wracking when you're not certain that you can absolutely trust the guys behind you to do what you need done. And especially when it's your own material, and your own material can get a little dense, right? When you know that you compose things a little bit more through composed and a little bit more like heightened, it's not quite so loopy. Then you go, well, I definitely need people who learn this material very, very well. And you joke about Jim. I've been playing with Jim, for 25 years. That is terrifying. I love Jim, and I love his approach, and I love his attack, and I love his overall thing. But he's a bit of an agent of chaos, and he likes it. He wants things riding right on the edge when he's playing. He wants the excitement of everybody taking risks. The only reason I ever really learned to improvise lead guitar, like I would pre-write all of my solos in that band, and Jim, who of course went to jazz school, is like, "You suck. You can't improvise, man. You can't just jam. What? You're not a real musician, then." I was like, "Okay, I'll learn how to improvise, man." So
just his laugh though. I'll take him. I'll take him anywhere just for that.
That one? Yeah, that one. Yeah, I know that one well.
Oh, so where is this show? Where are people going to be able to come see you? And where can they go buy tickets, or is it?
No, it's actually it's a free show, and it's at the Unicorn on the 21st of January. I start playing at 10 o'clock. I'm doing 3 sets, and it will be all. You don't even know the list of original material I have piled up from there. Plus, I've got some hilarious and ridiculous cover tunes from the Shadow Government days. So.
Oh, okay. We got to have one ridiculous cover. Like, what would be one ridiculous cover song? Like, can you spoil this?
Unfortunately, the problem is that I guess I can.
But not all. Just that one. It's always nice to, because then the people are out here go, I like these
Where is
songs
that
today.
song?
Oh my God, he's going to play this.
Very few people expect a blues acoustic guitar cover of Black Cars by Gino Vanelli.
Oh, I'm already
surprised you haven't done that.
I'm already loving it.
I've given it away.
I love Gino Vanelli.
Of course you do.
His remake album where he did it with the German band and redid Black Cars is just super good too.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. So the 21st at the Unicorn, Neil Gunhold is playing. Go check the EP out. It's up there. Plus, you can find the Shadow Government. That whole album's out there. You can even dig back and find a couple of those Pop Debris albums, and then the Kirby Sewell stuff. And I promise, if you go and you look at all of these, you will actually find a weird commonality between everything. Because even though the bands change and the styles are different, you can hear this voice in there. And I found that fascinating, especially going back to something from 2003 to something on the new EP. Is there's certain inflections that we favor as musicians, and you go, there's that, and it's familiar. So I really enjoyed that process, and hopefully everybody out there can do too.
Cool, thanks, man.
And anything we missed that you need to get out there?
No, but I'm gonna need a drink, so I'm just wondering what you got in the fridge.
Oh, hey.
What's going on here?
I think I should make that logo bigger, like all over this part.
Hey kids, what's in the fridge, Glenn?
Oh, we got the fridge right here. What is in the fridge, Matt?
Whoa! Oh my goodness, pineapple mojitos.
Oh, we know somebody who likes mojitos.
Well, when we were
Good old 3 Mojito Gary.
when we did the show introducing Club Car at Red Crowns, my dad was with us and he had a few of these pineapple mojitos.
Cheers.
So, cheers, yeah.
It's effervescent.
It's neat.
I like that.
I'm trying to figure out.
I don't even like pineapples, and I like that.
No, it's not on pizza though. But yeah, no, this would be. Especially, I'd like to try this over ice. You know, that would. Yep.
Talk to the people.
Oh, we're getting ice. All right, here we are. So now, if you haven't had a chance, I'll get this real close. There we go. So look at that pineapple mojito. Now, the best thing about these things is like 125 calories. Like there's no fats in here. 7 grams of carbohydrates in here. There's nothing really bad in here for you here. You know, it's carbonated water, vodka. This is a gluten-free drink as well. Wonderful stuff.
There's no reason not to drink it.
Yeah, no, really, this is part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle right here. And the good news, too, is...
I got the Rumpus Room glasses.
Rumpus Room glasses. Oh. And the good news, too, is portions of the money that they collect from you buying these products
25 cents a can.
That goes to helping musicians and live venues and things that are needed in a musical community that is underappreciated sometimes. So they are doing one little small part to help, and you can do your part by getting drunk.
We do what we can.
Yeah. Look at that. That's neat. Nice color.
It's delightful.
All right. So thank you to our guest, Neil Gunhold, who we did tape just shortly before we did this. So we had him a drink, and we'll be thinking about him even more when we drink his pineapple mojito.
Yes. And on to our next segment.
What's the next segment?
The wheel. I, for one, am surprised the wheel has lasted this long, physically. Like, not as a bit, just as physically lasting.
No, actually, we should probably, and people, you can tell me this too. I've been thinking about some different things that we can do on the show, and one of those is people who've been watching this have watched this for a while. So it's like we should actually take some pictures of how bad this wheel is now. And like I am the worst handy person in the world, and I have actually jury rigged this thing to last. It's getting embarrassing. I mean, like right now you can see there's a little paper clip up here. You know, it's
It needs some TLC on the wheel.
yeah. So
Anyways.
there we go. So we've got
Onward.
our spots. Of course, the ever fun piano song for Glenn's mom. It's a new year, and there's no piano, so we're ready to start disappointing right away. Thursday night, this is my little spot on here. I do an acoustic open mic at our friends at Red Crowns. So if you are looking for a place to find one of these beverages, you can come down, and they are the same thing. You're helping support people, you're having some drinks, and you can come down and do an open mic with me where I play songs that you can request live right there.
And wagon wheel.
And wagon wheel as well. Oh,
Jeez.
you are, oh.
The wheel grabbed me.
Catherine,
neighbor.
Catherine wheel. Neil mentioned that in one of his songs too. That's the only time I've ever heard anybody put Catherine wheel as a reference to anything was Jason Isbell put it as well as a reference to something. I'm like, man, that's weird. It's going to be a whole new cottage industry of Catherine wheel songs. Anyway, our friends at the Newsy Neighbor is a delightful little place to go online and get information about the things in the areas around Langdon, Chestermere, Strathmore, and stuff like that. And you can find things that are happening. There's gifts, there's get-togethers, there's I'll probably get babysitter services out of there.
Who knows?
Yeah, all sorts of things. So go check them out at thenewsneighbor.com. Our friends at Guardian Protective Wear not only made these shirts and the hats for us, but we also have some t-shirts that you can purchase. And really good. Like you can come out on Thursday. I'll remember them. You come, I can deliver them.
You'll remember?
Yeah, you
And
come to me
deliver?
on Thursday, I'll deliver. You just have to make sure that if you show up, you don't think I actually remember everybody I see. You know, like I'm totally embarrassed when I walk by somebody I know, but nah. Our friends at the Parkinson's Association of Alberta. It's an organization that we try to do a little bit ourselves, kind of like Club Car does, you know, just a little bit at a time. And you can send in to the scroll on the bottom there, send in an e-transfer to that, and we match that, and we send it off to our friends there. And we feel good in doing just a little bit to help get rid of something that's really terrible. And I've just had a friend recently whose mother came down and was diagnosed, and this is something that's happening every day to everybody. So, you know, every family's got this. So help us out. Country Music Alberta, no heavy thing here. This is just pure fun. This is a group that's protecting and nurturing and developing country music in our fine province. Their awards are coming up, and when is the award show? It's like
I think it's the end of March.
End of March, so that'll be fun. We're going to be out there with our, you know, on the red carpet. Hey,
Yeah.
what are you wearing?
Okay.
Come on, that would be so great. You know, hey, Mister, hey, Mister. Yeah, what are you wearing? All right, Zed Trucking. That is our friend Carrie. And with anybody here, we're not giving you all the information to find them, but you can send us a message. We'll get you there. So obviously, if you're sitting out there going, I need somebody to do some trucking stuff for me, hauling, whatever, this is our guy. He takes care of things.
Let us know. We'll hook you up.
And he's so much fun, too. Yeah. And Rick,
Speaking of fun,
this guy sells it on a global scale. Rick's Barterville is a store based here in Langdon. It's actually just down the promenade from the firehouse, and you can go in there. He's doing phone repair work, iPads, stuff like that. Plus, he's got records, movies, other curios, and fascinating things. So pop in, say hi, and I think you'll get no discount if you mention us, but you'll get a big warm smile. All right, you ready?
Okay, let's spin that
Here
thing.
it comes. Watch your arm.
Yep.
And it's Rick's Barterville. Oh, so
You got a song for Rick?
Oh, absolutely. We got like an old song that you would only discover out of nowhere in the middle of a thrift store kind of environment or a store.
Excellent.
So,
You need your guitar to do the song, Matt.
yes, I do.
Not
Yes, I
not
do.
just Club Car Beverages.
Yeah, we both look extra prepared today. You running for ice and me running to get guitars and stuff like that. So, all right. So, I'm going to do, I don't know if I've done this on the show, but I was trying to think of a song that you would find on a record just sitting on the, in the back of a store like that. So, let's see. So I'll kind of do a version of this. It's a little Porter Wagner song. Not a song you can hear on the radio today. I got back in town a day before I planned to. I smiled and said I'll sure surprise my wife. I don't think I'll phone, I'll just get back on home, for I didn't know the whole hard facts of life. Well, I passed a little wine store on the corner. I pictured pink champagne by candlelight. I stopped the car right then, got out and hurried in, my mind not on the cold hard facts of life. The stranger stood there laughing by the counter. He said, I'll have 2 bottles of your best. Her husband's out of town and there's a party. And he winked as if to say, you know the rest. Well, I left that store 2 steps behind the stranger. From there to my house, his car stayed inside. But it wasn't until he turned into my driveway that I learned I was witnessing the cold, hard facts of life. Well, I drove around the block till I was dizzy. Each time the noise came louder from within. Then I saw our bottle there beside me, and I drank a 5th of courage and walked in. Lord, you should have seen their frantic faces. They screamed and cried, please put away that knife. I guess I'll go to hell or I'll rot here in this cell. But who taught who cold hard facts of life? Oh, who taught who the cold hard facts of life? Oh my goodness, yeah, like that song is not getting on the radio anymore. Which button do I press here? This one? This one?
That one.
This one, there we are. And probably rightfully so. I don't think you're just allowed, like murder ballads are a thing that just do not happen in this day and age.
I wasn't sure at what point the Shop Live would transition to murder ballads, but
Well, yeah,
apparently we've done it.
because country music had murder. I'd never heard the term. I'm like, that's a whole genre, murder ballads, and these are weird songs too, just outright killing somebody. And I'm like, I don't think you could do that anymore unless you're playing rap music. So there we are. Thanks to our sponsors for our show today. We have, of course, our friends at the Firehouse, Country Music Alberta,
0 Squared Tiny Homes, Club Car Beverages, Origin Beverages. Is that everybody?
Aspen Crossing.
Oh, yes.
Toot, toot. Yeah. And of course, our special guest, Neil Gunhold, for episode 7, season 3. Again, his show is at the Unicorn. This is free, and this is on the 21st. And I guarantee, go out and take a look at him on the Apple, Spotify. You're going to find some interesting songs with lots of really great metaphors. So dig in, make a dinner of it. There's some great stuff in there. And we're back next week. We can announce guests.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Who's our guest?
Megan Dawson will be on.
Megan Dawson, that's right. So we're going to have a fantastic singer, songwriter, country musician who I've never had a chance to meet. So this will be good. I always like meeting new people, and hopefully all of you stay with us and visit us online. And we're doing this one online, right? We're not doing it live anywhere.
We're not sure yet.
We're not sure yet. We may do it live. So
You never know.
So Glenn,
Matt,
thanks everyone.
goodbye. That's all, folks. See you next week.